Hey, Imperfect Heart community. I'm going to introduce myself for the benefit of the new people who don't know who I am. I'm Jeff Holden. I'm the host of the Imperfect Heart podcast. And my purpose in doing that introduction is because so many of you may be discovering us for the first time. I know when I was suffering with my condition, trying to figure out where to go and what to look for and how to find a solution, I did what you did. I went to Google, I went to YouTube, I went to Facebook, and I really didn't find the Facebook group until post-surgery. So I understand many of you may not know who I am, and this is your first introduction. So for the benefit of those who are already familiar with me, I apologize. It's me again. But I'm really excited to talk to you today about something that I realized needed to be done. When I had my surgery, if you're familiar with my story, like everybody else, I went through the discovery process and the frustration process and the dismissal process and the lack of proper diagnosis process until I actually got the correct process, which was a provocative test at Stanford. And post-surgery, as a podcast producer, I realized I'm here to tell this story. It's what I do for a living. Why would I not do it for this particular situation? So we created the Imperfect Heart podcast, and we're about 2 years old now, a little over 2 years. Surgery was 3 years ago. And when I came onto the Facebook group, there were only about 1,200 of us. Today, there's about 2,600, more than double. And I know many of you are not familiar with me, not familiar with the podcast. And that's another part of the issue that I wanted to address in what I'm about to share with you today. So we had the podcast. Well, what about the people who aren't digital? What about the people who aren't looking anywhere but through the resources of their doctors? Maybe they're at the bookstore. I tried that. I did go online looking for a book for anything in addition to what I could find about the condition, which go back 3 years ago, as you all know, there wasn't anywhere near as much as there is today. And I attribute a lot of that to the Facebook group for what it's done. Rob and his administrative crew, Stephanie, they've done a phenomenal job of bringing everything up to date. And I will say that the podcast has had its share of support too, in terms of broadening the understanding and the recognition of this condition. But for those people who weren't discovering any solutions, weren't discovering any information about what was wrong with them, I realized there needed to be a book. There needed to be something hard, a material piece that is going to reach those who aren't digitally savvy, who aren't in that space, who aren't looking. And I heard so many people say, well, I shared it with my doctor. I shared the podcast. I shared the YouTube videos. I shared the digital links. The doctors don't have time. They're not looking. They need something to stick in front of them, actually whack them across the head with it. So what I did is I wrote a book. And I am really excited to say that it is now available. It's been published. The ebook and the paperback are now available on Amazon. And this gives you some idea of what it looks like. It's a substantial piece of information that you can share and leave and give to loved ones, whatever is going to be the best process for you. But we have stories from the actual interviews, the interviews with the doctors, the types of surgery, the sternotomy, the benefits and consequences of robotic surgery. It's all in there. And then we have patients as well, the people who have gone through the process, people who were on the journey, people who are now unroofed and sharing their successes. And I, for one, am one of those. So it's another way for me to really share my gratitude by putting this book out and making it available for everybody to now do what they will with it. And I know that as it gets in the hands of the doctors, it gets in the hands of the professional community, it gets in your hands, the people who are trying to figure out what's up with their situation. I think you're going to find a great deal of benefit in it. And there's some humor in it as well. It's not all heavy. My story, I'm sure many of your journeys, if you've been unroofed, you can find humor in some of what happened. And I unabashedly share some of that. So I hope you are able to find the book on Amazon. It should be a simple search: Imperfect Heart, the book, Imperfect Heart, Jeff Holden, Imperfect Heart, Stories of Myocardial Bridges, and it will pop up. And I really, really hope that it does help you find more solution, more resolve, more understanding, and give you the opportunity to now share your story in a different way that hasn't been available to date. So, Imperfect Heart, Stories of Myocardial Bridges, the book, now available on Amazon. And if you look at the link below, you can copy it, paste it, and find it. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to Imperfect Heart. It's my hope that this information helped in some way to improve your situation or will help you better understand this condition. More importantly, that it gives you hope through stories that there is help and you most certainly are not alone. If you've been diagnosed with a myocardial bridge, please be sure to join the private Facebook group, Myocardial Bridge Support Group. For more information about our program or to reach me directly, visit the website, myimperfectheart.com. If you like what you heard today, please give a positive review, thumbs up, high five, or whatever your app likes. And be sure to share with everyone important to you so they understand what it is you're dealing with. Please subscribe as well. Welcome each day with gratitude and positivity. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the host and the guest and are not intended to provide, nor are they a suitable substitute for, professional care by a doctor, therapist, mental health professional, or other qualified medical professional. Imperfect Heart is a production of Hear Me Now Studio.